I always thought it was up to me to make a difference. Means nothing to sheep. Fooled by the love of the government's hugs. I'm kissed by the one, she's the sun from above. Ain't it funny in a room full of test ya? Making money for the moon, I betcha. Ain't it funny I'm your groom and I get ya? I'd see best when I see she's wet. Now if I had the chance I'd swim oceans and sing. Slap a smile from your face, you got nothing to bring. Two hands, great flick, thanks Heath Ledger. Elixir on elixir. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. Now I know that it's up to me to make a difference. Mine's like a sheep, not fooled by the government's hugs. Need a fast life, love like doves. Not fooled by the government's direction. Can't blame, don't give me erection. Might sound mean, but I think I see ya. And stranger, no danger.
Moment for a second, then I lose my concentration. If rumors were religion, then I'd be the confirmation. I intend to get my sights set on using information to connect the chosen people to this soulful inspiration. There are no limitations when you're living from the heart, shining light into the darkness with the art as we embark on an instrumental mission, stepping on a peaceful path, knowing where we come from, letting you know who we are.
I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. I will, I won't ever be that man, ever be that man again. Welcome to the show, my friend.
How you going? Thanks for having me back, Gary.
Yeah, good, mate. I'm really good. Yeah, it's awesome to have you back, mate. Always a pleasure to have you on board. It's been a little while. I've been very busy with a baby, mate. I see you're always very active. It's always something for me to watch, which is great. Putting the headphones on, just like trying to be quiet.
Trying to do my part. YouTube's just crap, isn't it? Like, like I just you've got to search for the anything good these days. They're just like changing the algorithm so much. So, but yes, we struggle on.
Yep. Fucking, what do you do?
Go to Rumble, Odyssey.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, mate. And but so we can do that. I see you've got a few things on. I love Odyssey out to Spaceman, the icon.
Yeah.
Have a little chuckle about that. Yeah, it makes me wonder already. Wow.
Yeah, right. You just never know. Rumble seems all right. Well, the guy who owns it, he seems like a pretty good guy. It's all non censored.
Yeah.
So I'm on both. I'm on Rumble and Odyssey, but there's so many platforms. I mean, God.
Yeah.
And a billion others, but no, this is the thing. So yeah, I'm going to start moving off YouTube. I think trying to slowly move audiences across, see how it goes.
I see. There's a few other people already doing that, mate. Everyone's being so heavily censored. It's just why keep headbutting the brick wall.
Yeah. Have you? Do you know his cool guitar gear?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, he got axed last
Really?
week.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's just on Rumble and Odyssey, but he said he lost all his actual guitaring videos because he didn't transfer them, but all his other stuff's up. But so yeah, you just never know. That's what worries me. I could just wake up one day, and I mean that's why I'm on other stuff. But yeah, it could be gone anytime. Happened to you, right? You lost a video a few weeks ago.
All my channels are ghost channels. Everything's being so heavily censored. And I found that when I was actually uploading a video to YouTube I was uploading a video on Truth Hurts, right? But as it says processing, YouTube had a spaz out, and I could see that the Syncretism Society and my Truth Hurts channel had linked up, and it was like processing one video but showing both channels.
Wow.
So they've
Yeah, so that's what they do. Yeah. And even if you start a new email and everything, unless you're on a completely new computer and everything's different, that they just link you up.
Yeah, that's what happened. It was a different email. Yeah.
Yeah.
But today, let's talk about, mate, he's an interesting cat. You know, but in the
Cheap
mainstream narrative,
perfume.
yeah, the mainstream. Sorry, what was that?
And a cheap perfume.
Yeah, exactly. So if anyone knows who we're talking about, it's Elon's Musk stinks.
Yeah, Elon Musk. I mean, it just sounds like a cheap perfume, right? I just this bottle of Elon Musk, thanks. Going down the disco tonight.
Well, he's a weird.
Yeah, Elon is. I mean, he's an interesting one, isn't he? You know, and it's interesting. You know, he's literally he was in. I think it was the first Iron Man back in 2010. He had like this walk-in role as Elon Musk pretty much before anyone really knew who he was. And now they you know, he's always got this title and people have called him, you know, like Iron Man, you know, the real Iron Man and that, because he's this billionaire with all this tech and stuff. So it's
So awesome.
you know, you can see the story being built there, but yeah, he's an interesting character, isn't he?
He is, and he's a massive fibber. He loves to tell porky pies.
He does.
Doesn't he?
It's just interesting. He's just being built up so much, you know, especially with the whole, you know, Twitter's thing, and you know, everyone going off at free speech. And before that, he was, you know, he'd always come out with these tweets, you know, against the establishment and all this kind of stuff. And he's like you know, the people's billionaire. But yeah, what he does in the background and everything is a bit different. And the big thing that, you know, no one's really asking is, how is he the richest man in the world? How is that even possible? How has he suddenly got more money than Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos? And I know, I mean, and we're talking mainstream richest, you know, in the world.
Yeah.
The figures just wouldn't add up. I mean, what did he do? What did they say he did? They say he invented, you know, started PayPal and sold that for, I don't know, maybe it was $1 billion. I can't remember. It was quite a bit. And then Tesla. But Tesla, you know, it's like, what are you telling me? Tesla's bigger than Ford or bigger than Toyota?
Yeah.
No way. No way. So, you know, how's he the richest man in the world?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. So he's definitely this character. You know, he's an actor.
Character.
You know,
Yeah.
actors.
Absolutely, mate. And that's the interesting thing. And I was onto him from the get-go. And then when he sent that car into space, which is, you know, the thermosphere is hotter than a kiln. We're talking about 3,500 degrees. And he's sending this car up to space.
And the tires didn't pop, you know.
Yeah, the tires didn't pop. But there was no, I did a video with Jaredism and he just smashed it. You know, he just showed what you should, yeah, it was.
I didn't see that until, you know, a couple of months after it had happened. And I started sort of saying, I didn't realize that they were actually trying to say that it was real. I just thought, oh, it's just an ad they've done, because it's clearly that's just stupid. But when I heard they were actually trying to say that they put the car in spot, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. That's the dumbest thing.
They'll buy it. They'll buy it. They'll believe it. And that's what Elon's there, just like he's touched upon before. He gives you a little bit of truth, like he's this tech guy. He's taking everyone on, buying this, and he's going against the grain, you know, with his comments. What's Elon got to say today, you know? And everyone thinks he's a legend, and he's this massive puppet.
Yep, totally.
Man, and I'm going to try to share something with you.
Imagine him reading his baby like nursery rhymes, or like saying it's like, oh, come up here, 1x divided by pi times 3 and x, whatever his name is.
Oh goodness, he can hardly talk. That's the other thing. He's a mumbler.
Oh, he's dumb, isn't he?
He's dumb as dog shit.
He's not smart.
Now, Cam, can you see the screen stranger than fiction here, mate. Does that come
Yeah,
up for you?
yeah.
So I'm going to click on this video. I'm not sure if you've seen this.
Democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
You just
and it's going to matter.
you've got to see this to
Highway
believe it.
underground, and because it's Las
Where
Vegas,
is he? Where is he?
This is all-
Yeah, this is so creepy.
Oh, that's the movie. Yeah, right.
What's this? What a cool. What's the Freemasonic symbol? The fingertips.
It's breaking up a bit. Oh, the double fixes.
Yeah.
After weeks of corporate wrangling,
So this guy, and then he goes to the little party where it's got this Latin, it's like sewn into the back of the jacket, and in Latin it says New World Order. Can you hear me, mate?
What's sewn into the back of the
Sorry,
jacket?
we just had it just cut out there for a bit. I don't know what's going on here. Mate, on the back of his jacket in Latin, it says New World Order.
board of directors accepting the billionaire's buyout offer in a unanimous vote. Musk, who has been one of Twitter's biggest critics, celebrating rocket emojis, tweeting in part, "Free
New World
speech is the
Order.
bedrock of a
So that there says it all.
Yeah.
The puppet.
Well, he is. I mean, and the other story is that he's self-made. You know, that he was this poor, bald teenager who just wanted hair. And so he went out and became the richest man in the world. We're sort of taught that. And there's even like a clip of him when he was, probably 20 or less, saying, "I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to own a McLaren and rah, rah, rah." And so he's been built up, but then the story is he's self-made, right? He went to uni and he just happened to write the code for PayPal and he's this genius. It's not true. His dad owned the biggest emerald mine in South Africa. And the story was he was just a party boy at college.
Yeah.
And he literally would walk around with emeralds and just take them in and pawn them and sell them and stuff to get cash and throw parties. And
Yeah, man.
I think what he lasted like 2 weeks or something at the university, I think, at one of them. So it's just, it's like, Zuckerberg, right? Zuckerberg. And the whole Facebook sort of thing, he was just in his room at college and he just wrote Facebook and released it, on the same day that DARPA shut down their program to collect information on people.
All these guys are, mate. Have you seen that sad guru guy, that Indian? He's all over the news.
I have, and I used to watch him a bit. I never really got into him, but because everyone was way into him, and I thought, something. And then I saw him. There's a photo. Yeah, I can't remember who he's with. I think it's with Klaus, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's where he's like saying that the world has to be. There's too many people. There's just
I haven't seen that one.
Human are good, but too many people. So that's what he does. Yeah, another guy. All these guys, they give that little bit of, or more. They'll probably give you think they're giving truth, but they're there to push a narrative.
It's the 80-20 rule. Like they give you, 80% of whatever they're spinning. Truth normally. Yeah. Enough to get people, and this is why this stuff has gone on. Especially we could say since the 70s, people started really asking that sort of spirit, Westerners, the spiritual questions. That was 50 years ago.
Mm.
No one's found the answer, right? They sold all these courses through the 80s and 90s, and there are all these gurus. And that just proves that they only give you enough information that you're going to keep searching for the answers. They never give you the answers. And the next 20% is just to steer you off course.
Yeah, hippies are the worst sometimes, man. Shouldn't say that. My missus is a hippie, but she's not. She's a good hippie. But But some, mate, they think
She's a
they're
happy.
so open-minded, you know, they've got the bare feet, they're walking around those long baggy pants. The guys have those where the crutch sits around their knees, those sort of weird baggy pants, you know. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I love those ones, and I just say a few things, and they, you know, they think they're really open-minded, and then I just ruin their day. Leave them to go about their business. Oh, love that a few times, man. It's comical, you know. And I did a chat, like a lecture or chat, whatever you want to call it, on you know, what we call geocentric realm. And yeah, this lady before it, she was like, so interested in this today, you know, and I'm so open-minded. So I'm, you know, and I grew up here and did this, did that, la 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 la. And when I started taking away the ball from the spinners, I like that, spinners, not blowies, spinners.
But that's a good point. It's spinners, come in, spinners. You know, so many people just like the chase, right? They just like the theory. They don't really want to get to the answers and get where it, you know, gets a bit, you know, that changes their reality, or they've got to make decisions and think on their own and all this. It's like, oh, hang on. No, I just wanted something I can go to the coffee shop and chat with my hippie mates with. Come on. Don't make me actually think. What are you doing?
No, thinking.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I can't.
So with guys like, mate, with guys like Elon, even someone said to me, a friend said to me the other day, have you heard of that? What's his name? Someone, Jordan Peterson. You know,
oh yeah. He's like a British kind of philosopher guy.
Yeah, same dude, same stuff though, mate. Like he says some stuff, and then he's there pushing. Yes, I've got the Jabberwocky, yes, you know, and then it's like, nah, fucking,
well, they have to, you know, this is the thing. Like, so many people have been talking about, you know, how, you know, that you know, Shills, right, and how the truther movement has been infiltrated, and you know, we've been saying for a long time, you know, don't spread the narrative, stop spreading all this, you know, bad news, you know, blah blah blah. But this is the thing, that they cover both sides. That's what Elon is, right? He's the good guy, he's the hero, but he's, you know, he's obviously the bad guy, and that's why they have like their Jordan Peterson, who's for the intellectual crowd, and then they have their Russell Brand, who's for the more sort of hippie sort of crowd, and they have, you know, you know, Alan or Jones, you know, who's for the ranty crowd, you know. They have all these, they cover all their bases, and a lot of them are, you know, because we've kind of seen a lot of them come out over the last 2 years, like, you know, they'll be, and obviously a lot of them fell at the start, but then, you know, people, you know, I'm a true, and then they'll come out and say something, and everyone like, bugger you. And so it's like that they've got different points where they come out, you know. It's sort of, the smarter they are, the longer they're trying to hold the audience. But I don't think that's working very well anymore. This is the thing. We all know it's like this, you know, with their I hope I can say this, you know, the flags that aren't real, that are false. And that last, you know, bang incident that happened, you know, that basically the next day there was live footage showing that the cops were standing around for an hour and holding people from going into the building and stopping it. And that was one day. And like the last one was, you know, in that crane country that starts with U. That was like about a week, I reckon, before it was just everywhere. People were going, this is crap. And so what's happening is that they're trying to pull this stuff, but we're onto it quicker and quicker. And I'm thinking, if we're onto the last one in the day, then, you know, we've got to be very close to something, right? It's going to be like they're just going to release stories, and no one's going to believe them, like at the time that they're released, because every step of the way, and it's going to happen with Elon. You know, he's the new hero, but he's gonna say something, and people will be like, "Oh, it happened with Trump." You know, like everyone, the whole like patriot movement was all pretty much 100% Trump's the man. You know, up to either from, you know, he's the best dude for president up to, you know, he's the savior. But then he came out and said you know, that people should get the vax. And probably half of the people went, oh, F you. And now, you know, they're sort of, we're patriots, but we're not Trumpers. So, you know, it happens pretty quick, but, and, you know, Trump's another one, you know, and excuse me, I mean, we're going to make enemies saying that Elon's, you know, bad. So, I mean, we've got to question Trump too, right? I mean, and talking about Trump, you know, we've got the story of Elon, right? A book was written by
Werner
von Braun, first man to go to Mars, and his name was Elon.
How good's that?
Yeah, and then we have books the same, you know, Trump and the time traveler and his son, Baron von Trump. So there's all these, you know, weird things, right?
Mate, I've been thinking that lately too, dude. It's like the movies we watch. There's like they've put these characters in them. Like I reckon, I've said this before, but Back to the Future Part 2, Trump, Biff Tannen, that's Trumpage, like 100%. You know, and then Elon is in it. Elon's in it. Elon's an actor who's actually in movies. You know,
yeah,
pull them by. But Bill Nye, another one. I'm
just going to say, there's a website, IMBD, I think it's called, and it lists all the actors. And on there, Bill Nye has like about 30 or 40 credits for movie roles, and the Grasshole, Neil.
Oh, he stinks as well.
Yeah, he's
the Grasshole stinks, and Elon Musk stinks.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting. I mean, Elon would definitely be in there at least once because he was in Iron Man. But yeah, the Grasshole's got like 40 or 50. Like literally, he was an actor before he became the science dude.
Yeah, fucking hell, the science guy, bro.
And you know the guy who's in charge of, you know, that crane country.
Oh, what about that? He actually looks like a Thunderbird, mate.
Doesn't he?
Virgil.
He was in like a gay pop band, and he was an actor, and he was in a reality show about an actor that becomes the president of that country that starts with a U. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, and what about Dr. Evil? As if that's not Klaus Anal Schwab.
It's just too funny, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, bro. So you've got Klaus Anal Schwab, you've got Elon Musk stinks, we've got Neil deGrasse Hole, he stinks. All these guys.
The blind guy with a bow tie, yeah. And what's the other one? The guy from England, you know, with the big stupid smile.
Oh, the actonaut.
Yeah. He reckons he's an astrophysicist or something. He sort of hangs out with the Grasshole and that a little bit.
Oh, the old musician.
He was a musician.
Oh, Brian's cock.
Yeah,
Brian's cock. So you've got Brian's cock. Klaus Anal Schwab. Elon Musk stinks. Isn't there? These guys have just, their names are just hilarious.
You could make like a little story out of that, right?
Oh, it's brilliant. I've been thinking about that. Yeah. And Doc, that's what I'm saying. These guys, surely, mate, like Klaus Anal Schwab, he is Dr. Evil.
He is,
yeah. And then, like, oh man.
I mean, I wonder if this, because, you know, we're in the apocalypse, right? The unveiling. You know, it's always, that's literally what's happening, right? We're seeing that all this stuff is just a movie. It's just
exactly.
a show, right?
Yeah, man.
The whole world is a show, like the whole
Wizard
world is a stage.
And these nerdy dudes behind the scenes are pulling all the strings. They're like Anal Schwab and fucking.
And they're all these old, crusty, freaky people.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, like what do you call the people who, you know, the group of actors that act on a show? They're called like a cast. A cast. Because they're casting, right? Casting spells.
Broadcasting.
You know?
When casting.
Broadcasting in the news, cast it broad. So, you know, we know, and that's the thing, it's everywhere, right? Hollywood, you know.
Yep.
The wands and all this kind of stuff. So Yeah, yeah. And now Elon's up there and he's Mr. Mr.
Legend.
Truther, you know, and he's doing all the good stuff, but he wants to put chips in our brains
Wow.
and you know.
That guy's been like I said, he talks like he's a mumbler. You can hardly string a sentence together. Yeah, another massive puppet is that Joe's Grogan.
Joe's Rogan.
Joe's Grogan. Grogan.
I'm only 15 Rogans tall. How tall's Rogan? I've forgotten. I don't know how tall Rogan is. It's like 13 inches or something. I don't know.
That guy, far out, another one, you know?
Yeah, well, he's I think he's like the classic dude who, see, this is the thing with all these people is a lot of them come from families and that like Elon, clearly he was, you know, you can find footage of him when he was young and that, you know, he's clearly from a family, but Rogan, I don't think is, but you know, the other people they get is these people who are popular anyway, and they get them and they offer them money and they start steering them and everything. And then they get them to a point where they've got a lot to lose. And then they're like, right, now this is the narrative. And that's what we saw with Rogan. So he knows, but he just sold out.
How about him and Eddie Bravo, bro? They were mates. And then Eddie Bravo started talking the truth. And mate, they just were like, it was like a line in the sand.
Yeah. So he's clearly, you know, being told where that line is. And if he jumps over it, he loses his paycheck. Yep. And not only that, you know, it's not just they lose their paycheck, then they get smashed in the media and, you know, you'll be, you know, found out as something.
Yeah.
But, and then, you know, a good thing they do is, you know, they make that look like the media is attacking him, right? With all that stuff with the horse paste and all that other stuff. And, you know, they sort of try and paste him like Elon, right? Like the anti sort of establishment guy.
It's brilliant, eh?
Yeah.
It's so clever. Like this whole, there's no VIRUS, you know, it's just the only virus is of the mind. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. It is.
It's just, and like, yeah, like you can see the way it's done, mate, is so brilliant. Has this been like, mate, we talk about other resets. Do you like, they seem to just, this stuff seems so well drilled, so well planned. Do you think like do you think it's been done like this before? Like 100 years our society can last, our concrete only lasts 100 years. Do you think they could do something like this over and over?
As in, are they playing with time?
Well, not necessarily. Well, we know they're playing with time, but I mean, like, literally run a generation for 100 years, literally wipe it out.
Well,
wipe it out, you know. And
yeah, I think so. I think definitely. I mean, there definitely seems to be this disjunct in the timeline from the 1700s to the 1800s, and everything changes. Yeah. And then, you know, and then we can see that everything gets introduced.
Yeah.
And like Jason from Archaic sort of talks about that as well, and he talks from the perspective of this is a simulation, right, that's being run and we're in it, and they're trying to figure something out, right, the best way to do something or whatever. And so, yeah, we get to a certain point and then they rerun it.
Yeah. So interesting, man.
It's sort of like Black City, right? So we wake up, we don't know the change has happened. And then we can talk about Mandela effects and all this kind of stuff that come into it. So, and that's what, I mean, shit, I don't know about you, but especially the last year, I've had some times where it's been like days or a week where I just feel like I'm not really 100% in this reality, you know, or I just have to sleep all the time, or it's so.
I tend to engross myself in things, mate. That's my escape from reality. I'm lucky enough that I've got a recording studio, I've got my workshop, I've got my baby, you know what I mean? I've got my kids and all that.
Dull moment. Yeah,
there's never a dull moment, but fuck it, it catches up with me too, man. It really does. And same as you, or some days I have, but look, I was speaking to a friend the other day, mate, and he goes, "Look, Gaz, he's a legend. This dude, mate. He's a pommy English guy." And hey, Stewie, he's probably listening. He loves our stuff. You know, he was saying that he goes, "Gaz, if we were talking and I said to you, mate, how are you?" and you said, "Good, I'm fucking awesome," he goes, "I'd be worried." You know, so like it's the most weirdest thing to be in part of, when like to see through this. And yeah, see literally like that movie with the dude putting the glasses on, and
They live, yeah.
they live, you know, and it's like that.
It is. There's just so many of those kind of movies too, and it's like what I mean. What's happening is you become in the world, but not of the world, right? So you're still here looking around, but it's almost like you're in a movie set, right? But you're the only one that's not the paid actor. Everyone's doing their sort of job, you know, and walking around, and you're like, hang on. And to start with, you think that they're all just people, and then you start working out, hang on, they're and you know, this whole NPC thing, you know, people that just can't take things on, ideas on, and that, you know, we've got all this weird stuff going on. So I mean,
They can't.
no, they can't take on new ideas, and a lot of people are saying that, you know, it's a lot of people you can talk to, and they'll sort of go, oh yeah, and they'll sort of get a bit of a concept, and then the next time you see them, they're back to zero again, like you never spoke to them. You know, it's like, hang on, what's going on there? But yeah, very black city, you know, or dark city. I mean, you know, things changing around, and
one thing I thought,
confusing.
sorry,
You know? Must be confusing if you don't know what's going on. Holy crap!
it is.
But maybe they don't see it. I don't know.
Mate, what about in this simulation, right? Which Jason spoke about. How fucking crazy is it to think, like, if they're running this stuff, that our time is like 100 years of ours could be an hour or 2 hours of their time out there. So when they're running these simulations, they can obviously run things a lot quicker. In our world, it's taking all this time and all the little
Consistencies.
I can't even say that word at the moment. That, you know, all those little parts and all those little things that, you know, they don't see, but it just goes through, you know, real quick, and they don't have to worry about all that and and that. Or like, wow, what a concept, mate. Like, my mind just bent the other week when that, you know, because you see it in movies, like we've been brought up on this shit, but then to go, wait, like is that why it's a movie? Because like to tell us, they're trying to tell us this shit, you know?
Not that different to the Matrix, you know. The only difference is, you know, that from his point of view, like, we did this consensually, and we're just lying in comfortable, you know, beds or chairs, you know, in some room somewhere. But I mean, yeah, it's that, and this is the thing, they tell us all this stuff in movies that obviously they don't give us. There's no movie that tells you the story, but there's bits in everything that you can kind of piece together.
Yeah.
And it's what was that one by Leonardo DiCaprio? Not Deception.
Oh yeah, Inception.
Inception.
Yeah.
And same thing, right? They go down levels in their brain or in consciousness or whatever. And what did he say? They spent at the bottom. He said they spent years down there. And when they woke up, it had been like 10 minutes or something. So good way to solve problems, right? If you're an advanced civilization and something's happening, you know, if there is some kind of disease or some kind of attack or phenomena or something, just to whack people in, and where they're like going, oh yeah, well, only 2 hours here, no worries, we'll jump in, we'll see in a minute, and we get in here and find out it's like, you know, 50 lifetimes or something, and then we get to the end and they keep rewinding because they haven't quite found what they wanted, so they keep rewinding the last bit of it, and we're like, what the fuck's going on here? I mean, and this is the thing, that living, you know, in these times, that makes sense, right? 5 years ago, it
Yeah.
wouldn't have. We weren't seeing all this stuff, you know. It was all brand new, these sort of concepts. And isn't it interesting that we got all those concepts, you know, flat Earth and Tartaria and all these types of different ways of looking at the world just before this, you know, in definitely within the decade before, but, you know, probably the 5 or 6 years before, you know, 2020. So we had this different way to understand what we were going to see. You know, it's you know, this is the thing, you know, is it all pre-planned? You know, we're just running a script down here.
Yeah, sometimes it feels that way, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, I guess it does. It doesn't for me, but I think watching as a spectator, mate, it's so interesting.
Everyone seems to be on a script. Yeah.
Mate, anyone who has one of those muzzles over their face now, I got a mohawk, you know, or looking bad. I've got the mad moe, and I just love freaking people out. I sort of just look at them and just go, fucking hell, wrong with you?
But yeah, I mean, yeah, we've got to walk in like, you know, sovereignty and stuff. I mean, it's even the way people walk, you know, especially the masked ones. You know, people don't walk like they're worth anything. And I'm you know, because I've taught myself when I walk, you know, with a straight back and shoulder back and all that kind of stuff. And I just cruise through and I look around and everyone's just like these like little meek sort of bent over people, and they're
They
like,
look sick, don't
they
they?
don't look confident themselves, you know, they look sick. You know, I walk through and people will literally just part because they know I'm just, you know, half the time I'm not even looking at them because I guess they notice me, but I don't notice them because they're just these little things, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we're definitely we're on different frequencies, you know, like 100%.
They've believed the program.
Yeah.
And so they believe they're less, and you are what you believe. Ultimately, you know, whatever you believe is true is true. I mean, really, you know.
Exactly.
Yes, unless you believe you're, you know, to an extent of who you are, you know, mentally, that's true. If you think you're powerful and confident, well, you are. If you think that you're not, well, you're not. So, thanks, school.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for the
That was a thumb too, training. When it looked like I just gave the finger.
Thanks for the indoctrination. Far out. School. Yeah. Bunch
School.
of school's cool.
Isn't it interesting that, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you left school and that was pretty much the end of your education, of people trying to tell you stuff. You know, there was newspapers and the news, and some people did higher education. Now everyone's trying to tell you how the world works, what everything is, you know, and it's all geared towards, you know, people our age, right? All this Elon Musk stuff, all this space stuff. It's like they're still building the story, right? It's and it's changing. And talking about Elon Musk, I mean, little things like, you know, we went to the moon in the 60s, and now we can't go back because we lost all the telemetry data.
Yep.
And now they've got to do it again because now the Van Allen belts have appeared, and they didn't need the radiation armor back in the 60s because they didn't know that the belts were there, so it didn't affect.
Just change it, man. It's
And
NASA. Yeah.
the best one's Neil deGrasse Tyson, who talks about the edge of space. You know, because everyone's like, "Where's it? You know, what are you talking about? You can't, you know, you can't have a vacuum next to an atmosphere, right? A pressurized system." And I saw a video, and he's saying now the edge is out in the moon, like the edge of our atmosphere. He's like, "Oh, it starts dissipating, and it gets less and less and less and less. And by the time you get out near the moon somewhere, then it's space." You know, so there's no wall though. It just gradually, the vacuum and a pressurized system just gradually sort of blend.
We know, like Bell from Beyond the Imaginary Curve, these demos are awesome, mate. You know, the fact that there's no, you can't do any practical demonstrations of this, but we can practically demonstrate the way the gases behave, you know, and we can demonstrate how water behaves. And mate, this might cut out. I'll do a little thing we did last time. If you Sweet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he gets people, and he gets them by, he'll get like a lake, and he'll go, okay, imagine, see that lake, what's the surface? And they'll go, oh, it's flat. And he goes, okay, now imagine that 10 times bigger. And he goes, what shape would it be? And then he goes, imagine it 100 times bigger. What shape would it be? And they go, flat, and then it's like, well, imagine that 10,000 times bigger. How big would it be? What shape would it be?
It's a good point, right?
Yeah.
At what point does it start to curve?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, well, hello.
Where is the curve?
So I was just actually watching a video with Dave Weiss, and he was talking about Melbourne and Port Phillip Bay, and that when you stand out at the edge, like out Geelong sort of way, and then further out, you can see Melbourne, and it should be like kilometers or more under, because it's like, I think it's 60 k's or something.
Yeah.
So it's like that one they showed up in, was it
Where were we?
A Mirage? That's what I was going to say.
Mirage.
Yeah, what was that footage up? I was in Ontario up, and it showed across the water, and he's like, it's a mirage, because you could see the city.
Oh my goodness gracious!
We got the weatherman to come on and do like a whole section. It's a mirage.
It's a mirage, and they go, oh yeah. They're like, oh yeah. The average Joe's, wow, I believe anything.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, like the only concept, most people have got when you say mirage is, they got this story of, some dude on a camel in the desert, and he thinks he sees water, and it's not. So their concept is, oh, you see something that's there that's not there. They don't understand all you see is, maybe something on the ground that fills a hole that is, it might look like, well, you don't see cities in the desert when you're walking through. Like, it's a mirage. Look, that's the Empire State Building. No, it's a mirage.
Oh, that's so good, bro. Cracks me up, mate. It's endless. The comedy. That's what I mean. We're in a movie. We know it. We see it. All the characters are before us. And how about our role? Like when we're here making videos about this shit, we're being watched on the outside by people probably. We're watching shit on video, like movies that are telling us about, well, the whole thing is just insane.
It's a fractal, right? It's just like, if the company, if the earth is Disney, we're all these like little companies on the outside trying to make our own movies and get them out there. And they're like, fuck you, we're going to shut you down and smash you down, and we're going to keep an eye on you and make sure you're not. That's what we're going through. And that's what we can see now. The whole, censorship thing is the biggest, thing to wake people up, I think, is, we understand just who's running these companies, and everyone's just falling into suit with, the NWO. And they keep shooting themselves in the feet. There's these two channels in Australia that are pretty big, Friendly Geordie and what's the other one, Isaac Butterfield.
Right.
And they were both, they're both sort of comedian types, and they were kind of a bit anti-government. Used to give them a bit of crap and stuff, but they weren't, sort of researchers or conspiracy realists or anything.
Yep.
And so they were doing stuff, and they weren't even talking about, what's going on. And they just started getting censored by YouTube and started getting harassed. And now they're both completely awake. Now they're both like, the system's just, crap, and they're onto it. So it's interesting that, everything, and I've said this from the start, everything they do, it's not working.
No,
We're
that's
in
right.
this time where the system's breaking down. Everything they try just wakes more people up.
Well, mate, the Wizard of Oz, it's like we're getting to the end where the curtain's going to be drawn, and
see who's behind it. Oh.
Yeah, who's behind it? Who's behind? Yeah, who's pulling Klaus Schwab, Anal Schwab's strings?
Yeah, well, he's also, he's an child, a child of wrath, shall we say, if you know what I mean. He's one of them. And this is the thing, right? Like, you know, you look into history, and there's all these, you know, palaces and massive buildings and you know, Gilded Age houses owned by these family names, right? You never really see a Rothschild one, but most of the other ones. But where do these people live today? Like, seriously, where do these people live? We don't know.
No, that's it.
You know, even Elon Musk, you know, every now and again you might see, you know, oh, you know, Obama's got this house on, you know, on the shore or whatever. But I mean, where do these people, you know, especially the big names, where do they live, right?
I know, mate. I think they're just
Extra land, or what's
yeah,
going on? I used to think Greenland, and now I think, oh, maybe
not with us peasants.
no, I don't think so.
Not with
I
the
think
Goyim.
I think they've got the tech and you know, because why would they know about this tech? And no doubt they would have found it functioning, and that, you know, after the reset, why would they destroy it for themselves? They use it for themselves. You know, is there another continent out there in the Pacific? Who knows?
Man, I
Or
was
in
watching,
Antarctica.
yeah, off, yeah, definitely. We're out there. But I was watching this really. I've been getting into these shows, the adventure shows, like I've mentioned Bros of Decay and stuff like that. Where these guys go into these old derelict mansions and stuff.
I think
But
there's certainly
now,
one. Yeah.
yeah, now, mate, I found the other one that I've been getting across these derelict, like ghost cities and stuff like that in America. Now, this guy, it took him 5 hours. This is on private land, this ghost city, and took him 5 hours to get there. And then, mate, there's a fucking city just been overgrown by forest. There's like
A city.
fire hydrants. Like, he's just walking in the bush, and there's a fire hydrant.
Are you serious? And this is
I'll send
one
it
that
to
you
you.
still, because I haven't watched that yet.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And then there's another one in like the Nevada desert where there's a city there, right? And they try to, this is an ancient city. It's a Tartarian city that they've destroyed the fuck out of, right? And then they come up with this bullshit narrative about this guy wanted to start this city like in the desert. Like, we're talking like in the fucking 1850s or something, when, you know what I mean? Like
the whole Las
horse and
Vegas kind of
cart, no
story.
power tools, the rest of it. And mate, the like some of these, look into that, girl.
That's what I
stuff. It's just like
and John Levi sort of touched on that, and he sort of mentioned, you know, nuclear explosions, you know, nuclear tests, you know, might be, you know, how they were getting rid of some of these cities. And I was just thinking, I mean, you know, there's deserts in America, but, you know, look at the size of the deserts in Australia.
Big time.
We do not like it's literally what 95% of Australia. No one knows what's there. No one goes there. You know, there's a few mines dotted around and stuff, but literally people just fly in, fly out. You know, of course they're workers and they feed them heaps of booze, so they're not looking out the windows. Yeah. I mean, even that big petroglyph, what is it, Murrumbidgee or something, man, in South Australia, that was only found like a couple of years ago. It's a massive petroglyph, this picture of a dude in the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's so what's out? That's why obviously, you know,
fascinating,
with,
bro.
Tartaria, Australia, we're going to go out and hunt and see if we can find a crystal city. But this is the thing, we just don't know. There could be anything out there, and they don't even have to hide it in a country like Australia. They just tell you it's inhospitable, and they don't put anything there or put it on the maps, and no one will go there.
That's it.
Like, the chances of anyone finding it would be millions to one. So I reckon there's a lot to find out there.
Oh, Australia is just a fascinating place. Yeah, like I've said before, mate, I grew up here as a kid thinking, geez, I wish I was from Europe. Like, they've got such an awesome history. You know, we've got nothing here. It's only a couple of 100 years and da-da-da-da. And then I always had a fascination with the rocks as a boy, because that was where they first sort of settled in Sydney. You know, the rocks building. I never told you this, mate. This is insane, right? I used to work for Jones Lang LaSalle, a massive real estate firm in around the world. But Mate, they used to, like, we used to sell buildings and lease buildings and stuff like that. And I used to do a lot of leasing, but mate, I had the keys to all the fucking rocks, dude, to all the old buildings, bro. I had the keys, man.
Oh,
And I
right.
used to go in my lunchtime and just fucking sit in, like the first police station at the rocks, man. I used to go and just sit down. It was derelict. It's an old fucking Tartarian building, man. But I didn't know this. This was 10 years
Yeah, I was
ago,
just gonna say,
you know?
I
And
think it
I,
might be time for you to get back into the real estate game, mate.
yeah, man, far out, get some cool rigs. Yeah, and some
Yeah.
of the buildings, man, I just, and like the size of these buildings, and I was just sitting there going, far out, man. Like 1, 2, 4 levels, but they're massive, always massive buildings, you know. This is just right on the forefront of the shore there at Sydney, like in the harbour.
Yeah.
And yes, I had the keys to all these amazing buildings and had no idea what I was looking at, mate, at the time. If only I could go back and but
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I remember walking through the bush in Tasmania when I was like young, and I mean, there were bricks everywhere, but there were bits of like that, porcelain, the old power poles used to have those porcelain, what are they? Transducers or something, you have like the rings of sort of
yeah, I've said you used to find them
and
all over the
sometimes they were
place.
glass.
Yeah,
We used
yeah,
to find them everywhere.
yeah,
And those terracotta pipes that were done
yeah.
in sections, and some people had them on their chimney, but everywhere, like just in the middle of the bush and that, you just find this stuff. And you just, didn't even, we just feel like, oh, what's that doing out here?
Yeah,
Not
God,
question
I
it,
didn't want to think that. You just like,
So there just must be so much out in the bush. I can't wait to get my bus going. Well, my bus is going. Can't wait to be able to drive my bus.
yeah, a bit more work, mate, in the interior, or
Yeah, and on my arms, like it's a manual, but it's going, but it still needs a kitchen sorted and a few bits and pieces, and I'm getting there, but I'm building it with one arm, one hand, which is
okay.
it's
How
an
is the
interesting.
arm, mate?
It's getting there. And the arm's pretty good now. The hand's just sort of starting to move. I've been seeing a Chinese doctor, so I've been getting a bit of energy healing and stuff from people. So it's getting there, but it's fucking taking a long time, man. I mean, but it is my
Hands
whole,
are
it's my whole arm, and like
hands are
literally
hands are crazy, man. I came back from
so much in them.
I play guitar and my hands are really important. So I was coming back from a trip about 2 hours away. I went and saw another guitar maker. I went down with my son. I've come back and my son drove and I had my car keys. And I've got back and I'm going, fuck, have you seen my car keys? Anyway, I left them at my mate's house 2 hours away. And mate, I was just so pissed off at myself. I was like, fuck. And I had this, like, I hadn't had much sleep that night before, and the garbage bin was there, right? And I just lined the bin up. I got down real low and I just punched the bin so hard, and it was full of concrete. And it was full of concrete, and my hand just fucking buckled, bro. It was disgusting. And it swole up. It was the most painful thing. But even now, like my hands, man, like it's really, hand stuff sucks. Yeah,
Still got
all
like
the nervy
bent finger. There you go, bent finger there.
Yeah,
and I crushed, and there's just so many nerves in there, like I feel every one of them. but I mean, I mean, when at first I couldn't move any of my arm from my shoulder for like 3 months, so it's definitely a lot better. It's just taking.
Yeah, it takes time.
And I bought my bus and ripped it apart. I ripped all the interior out and everything because I needed to redo it. And then like two weeks later, I had my crash. So it was excited.
Yeah,
but it's cool. I'm living in there.
Oh yeah.
In there, you got the power sorted out. Got like a bed in there and just got wardrobes. So I'm getting there. Just trying to sort it all out and get some storage happening and.
Yeah, I'd love to get some. I'd love to get some sort of big vehicle. I'm driving. It's pretty funny, man. My car at the moment. I'm just driving an old Toyota. It was my kid's car. We got him a Toyota Echo, and
Oh,
mate, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
every
Tiny little thing. Yeah.
yeah. So mate, I'm like the gorilla in the Yogo ad in this bloody.
Getting out of this little car.
Anyway, but mate, so let's talk about like some positive. Let's send some positive stuff out there for the peeps because mate,
Indeed.
there's a lot
Let's
of
end on a positive.
there's a lot of you can get lost in all of it. Like I was just outside filming the sky before, mate, and the chemtrails was just one after another. And it's undeniable, and it's sad. Like Dad, and my son looked at me, he's 19, he goes, Dad, why don't they just fucking leave us alone?
I mean,
so
yeah. I mean, I'd say look around, we're near the end of the line as far as I can see. We're getting close to something, and I think if one thing, if you're looking at the world objectively, we're winning. Like, there's no, if all you're doing is watching the news and that, maybe you think that we're not. But if you're having, a look around at what's really going on, then yeah, I mean, I think it's good.
awesome.
People are waking up, I mean, and it's, even though waking up can be, scary or whatever, it's still much better than being asleep, right? But I mean, just focus on the good stuff, if don't go down the scary rabbit holes. You don't need to. All you really need to know is that they're just lying to us. Everything's inverted. It's all a show.
Yeah.
And you have choice, to go somewhere different. You can follow their script and run their program, or you can go, fuck that, I'm throwing that out and doing something different. And start, making plans for going forward. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? Because all of our lives, we've woken up and our thoughts have been, I've got to go to work. Maybe that's why we had to go to work, right? Maybe if we had different thoughts that were like, oh, I'm on land or whatever, or, we're viewing the life that we want, then that's what will appear. So, I mean, obviously we need to work, but I think it's perfect. I think it's the best time, A lot of people are out of their jobs, which is, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose, right? So a lot of people are there where they're like going, what do I do? But, basically look at it as a starting point. Do whatever you want. Start again, but with knowledge this time, and do whatever you want.
Cool, man. It's nice. It's nice to hear some positivity, because I think everyone needs to hear it at the moment. And yeah, and let's take that on board, and everyone go back to setting some goals. And Campbell said, think about what you want and what you want to achieve, and moving forward.
I think connecting up as well, find your tribe, connect with like-minded people, so you don't feel alone. You've got a bit of support. And if you're in Melbourne, come along to the Tartaria Australia Life event, June 25th. And yeah, we're going to do more of those, because we just want to start, that's what people need now. We've all been isolated, so we just need to start connecting up, making groups, finding out who's in your area.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, get, Dave's Flat Earth app, get the friend finders, reach out to people. And let's just, the system's had their chance. They've had their 2 years. We don't like it. So let's just ignore them, right? We don't need to tear that system down. We just need to make a new one, and it'll disappear.
Beautiful words, man. So, well, Mr. Campbell from Autodidactic and Spiral Up, thanks for your time, brother. And for anyone out there, look at Campbell's work. It's great stuff. And for all the other guys out there, check out my other channel too, Truth Hurts, and please subscribe and keep an eye out on that, because they'll unsubscribe you. But so thanks so much for your time again, bro. And
no worries, mate. Thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure, mate. And thanks once again, mate. And we'll speak again soon.
We will.
All right,
cheers, mate.
Take care, my man. See you, bro.
See ya.